Hello, I'm Anna Lagana, Research Specialist at the Gaiety Conservation Institute. I'm going to demonstrate how to fill scratches in polymethyl methacrylate or PMMA. In this video, I'm going to use two different film materials, both of which we found in our research study to have good properties for repairing surface damages on PMMA. The two-component epoxy resin Hextal and YL1, and the hydrocarbon resin Rigares 1094, dissolved at 40% in the solvent Shells D40. These products were chosen for their stability over time, their low viscosity, and their optical properties, which allowed us to recover the lost transparency and obtain an almost invisible repair in PMMA. I'm going to start my demonstration using the epoxy resin Hextal. For this demonstration, I'm using a PMMA sample with two scratches, one to be filled and the other one as reference so that you can better perceive the results of the treatment. But before filling, as I will do when treating a real PMMA object, I'm going to start by cleaning the surface. As you know, PMMA is very prone to scratches that can also be induced by cleaning. So I suggest two materials for removing dust and debris which have proven to be safe on PMMA by the European project Pop Art, a spectacle cloth and a sable hairbrush. Both are extremely soft materials. In this case, I'm starting with the spectacle cloth to gently wipe the sample on both sides. The advantage of this cloth is that it has a very fine structure which reduces the risk of getting particles stuck in the cloth, which can cause scratches. It also won't leave lint like other style of microfiber cloth. In addition, to reach and remove any particles that can be present inside of the damage, you can brush the scratch area with a sable airbrush. Once clean, we are ready for the filling treatment. I advise you to place a dark background behind your object in order to make the small damages easy to perceive and therefore easy to fill. This can be anything from a drop cloth to a black paper. In this case, as you can see, I have placed my PMMA sample on a black mat board. But keep in mind this treatment can be done vertically too. For applying the fill material, I'm going to use the Princeton round mini brush made of synthetic sable air, size 20-0. We have determined that this tool is the most suitable to fill such small damages. It performs well because its tiny point is very precise and allows you to stay within this narrow type of damage. It also holds and deposits the resin well without dripping. Regarding the film material, Hextal, the resin should be prepared just before carrying out the treatment so it doesn't become too viscous. You should mix the two components thoroughly with a clean glass rod for 2 minutes at least. Mixing will entrap air, forming bubbles, but they can be removed from the resin just by agitating the container and tapping on your workstation, so the bubbles will slowly come to the surface, as you can see here. Then just let it sit at room temperature for about 10 minutes and you will see that the bubbles will eventually disappear. Once the film material is bubble-free, dip your mini brush in it, being careful not to pick up too much resin. Then use a paper towel to pick up any excess that may have ended up on the metal ferrule. To do this, you just rotate your mini brush across the paper towel. This will help you avoid dripping while filling the scratch. Then, before applying the resin, just decide the direction you would like to fill, from bottom to top or top to bottom. Consider the movement you will do for drawing a straight line, so choose whichever direction is more comfortable for you. I like to start at the bottom because in this direction my hand is more firm, so I can make a straighter line. You want to position the brush point in the middle of the width of the scratch and move it along the length. Move it slowly to allow the resin to flow into the deepest portion of the scratch. If you need to re-dip your brush, you can do so, again removing the excess. If necessary, return to areas that seem partially filled or where you can still see white and saturated portion. For this, the black background and good lightening is key. This action is similar for retouching a paint layer. Generally, for a scratch this size, one application should be sufficient. As you can see in this case, after one application, the transparency is restored. And here is the final result. And I'm setting aside the Hextall and all the tools I use with this resin along with my field sample. As for my previous demo, I'm starting by carefully cleaning my PMMA with a spectacle cloth to remove dust and particles from both sides of the sample. But please note that these samples are pretty clean compared to an object with more history, so you may need additional cleaning materials and tools when you're working on something in the real world. Here again, I'm using my sable airbrush to get any dust and particles out of the depths of the scratch. And after cleaning, I'm placing the sample on my dark background, which I introduced in the previous demo. Here is my rigorous 1094 as a 40% solution in the solvent Shellstone D40. I'm just unscrewing the lid and leaving it in place to reduce solvent evaporation while I get my brush. I'm using the same type of mini brush I did for Hextall. Again, when you dip the brush in your resin, be careful not to pick up too much. Replace the lid. And then use a paper towel to pick up excess on the metal ferrule to avoid dripping as I described before. Then you are ready to apply the resin. Remember to keep the point of the brush in the middle of the width of the scratch. You can bend the bristle slightly to increase the deposition of the resin. Move the brush slowly to allow the resin to flow into the deeper portion of the damage. Go again in the same spots if you think the resin did not saturate properly, like you can see me doing here. In case you run out of resin, like I'm about to here, just re-dip the brush into the solution. Then again, remove any excess and continue to fill until the scratch is fully saturated overall. Also in this case, one application is generally enough. As you can see, like Hextall, Rigorous is also able to recover the transparency of PMMA, but unlike Hextall, it has the advantage of being reversible with solvent, allowing for future retreatment. And here is the result. Note that the appearance will improve and saturation will increase when the solvent fully evaporates.